Hey everyone out there in Instagram land, it's Steve Cole with the Veterans Bridge Home Lunch Break, the old VBH Lunch Break, and we have our employment day today. So thanks for tuning in and joining us wherever you are. Our special guest is John Barna. He works at the North Carolina National Guard Career Center, and we're looking forward to hearing from him and seeing what's going on with him. Hey, got somebody from Fort Mill. Shout out Fort Mill. Shout out to Paul Bill out there as well. Right before I bring on John, let me tell you this Thursday is the Ballentine Breakfast. If you've not attended the Ballentine Breakfast in the past, you should check it out. The breakfast is not going to be as good as it typically is because you're making it yourself. So maybe it's even better. Who knows? But breakfast is on you, but the Ballentine Breakfast is this Thursday at 8 o'clock. The details are on our Zoom account. Shout out Lake Wiley. Man, we got all kinds of people. Hey, glad everybody could join us today. Let me pull in John here, who is joining us. John will be joining us. We've got a couple of interesting questions. We're going to talk employment with him, as we will do on every Monday during the VBH lunch break. Pulling in John right now and seeing what he had. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Steve, pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for joining us today. John, tell me, you are at the North Carolina National Guard Career Center. For those of us who weren't in the Guard or don't know about the Guard, what's your job? What do you do?
So I'm a regional coordinator. So I coordinate in the Piedmont region. So what we do is we help National Guardsmen, Air Guardsmen with employment, doing resumes, doing veterans transition, skills transition. But then recently, within the last 2 years, we've branched out and we're helping veterans of all services, be Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, as they transition, or if they've already transitioned and are just looking for a new job. We help them with all those same things, but we also help their spouses or qualified dependents. So if they're a working age dependent, we help them as well.
Wow, that's great. I mean, you know, it's interesting that the Guard, because you're twice the citizen, right? You're the citizen soldier when you're in the National Guard. You know, your need for career help probably is through the duration of could be through the duration of your service, right? I mean, so it's a little different than active duty.
Yes, yeah. So Guardsmen carry they're mainly a civilian. They come in on every 1 week of the month, 2 weeks of the year when they're called to active duty for a deployment. One of the main reasons that my organization was founded was because to keep the numbers in the Guard, most people have to have a solid job.
Sure.
So a lot of employers don't really understand the need of the Guard and what the Guard does. So we're here to make sure that Guardsmen have work, lasting gainful employment is what I call it, so that they can then also function as a member of the National Guard.
Yeah, super important. So what's your mandate from the North Carolina National Guard? I mean, what do they expect from the Career Center?
We're not really numbers based. We're more, we want to help as many veterans as we can. So we want to make sure that when we get them, we're helping them with their resumes. We're helping them find employers that are veteran friendly. That's half of our job, is to go out and find these employers that are willing to hire veterans that want to know more about what veterans offer. And then we also help them, especially now during this COVID-19, we're linked in with like IBHS, which is helping with mental problems, helping with if you need help with your rent. We have family programs that we're tied into. So we wear a lot of hats right now.
Yeah, that's great. No, I'm sure that it's super important right now. So real quick, and we'll get to some other questions, but while I'm thinking of it, if there are National Guardsmen, women, veterans, family members who could qualify for your services, how can they reach you? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
So we have a website, North Carolina National Guard Employment Center.com. The easiest way to remember that is if you Google search North Carolina National Guard Employment Center, it'll be the first thing that pops up. You go to that website, and then there's a button that says sign up for our services. You just sign up within a couple of days, usually a day right now. You'll get assigned a regional counselor within the area that you live in that will then email you and start working with you. It's a quick process. We ask that you upload a resume so we can start working on it immediately, but you don't have to do any of that. We just need your name, where you live, your email address, and your phone number on the sign up.
That's great. And tell us again, for those people that just joined in, who qualifies again? Who can be served?
So any veteran, any branch, if they're actively serving, if they're a National Guard soldier, airman, if they're transitioning, if they've already transitioned, if they carry the status of veteran, or they're working age dependent, so their spouses, if they have a child that lives with them that is still a dependent, then they can qualify. Great.
We're going to get into some of your tips, but if you had one piece of advice to transitioning service members or National Guardsmen and women who are looking for work, what's your top advice?
So I always tell my candidates I'm very blunt. So my top piece of advice would be to take off your military hat. You're entering a civilian world. 1% of the United States citizens sign up for military service. So the rest of the 99% are civilians. They don't understand our background. They don't understand our terminologies. They don't understand what we do really. So take that hat off, put your civilian hat on, and go forth that way. So don't lose what you've learned in the military, the skills and stuff, but you're dealing with civilians. So really get into that world.
Yeah. I mean, you really can't take for granted the things that you just know intuitively as a service member, that it's not all that common. You know, what's common in the military is uncommon in the general population.
Exactly.
That's good. That's good help. So Paul said you had some good LinkedIn tips that you've shared with him. So how should people be leveraging LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn now is this powerful tool that I don't think a lot of people really understand. A lot of people make a LinkedIn profile and then they just, file it away. Like, I've done it, it's there,
right.
But you really have to stay active on it. The biggest thing that I see people is they'll make a LinkedIn profile, but then they won't go to the settings and make that LinkedIn profile public. So they'll keep it private. And then if a recruiter goes to search, they can't find you, because unless you are in the number one, I think it's called number one connection, unless I've connected with you in the past, I can't see your profile.
Right.
So the number one thing everybody should do is go to the LinkedIn and make it public. The next thing is your headline. Your headline is where what you do shines. So recruiters won't look through your whole profile. They'll look at your name and they'll look at your headline. So make sure that your headline is really selling you, not your company. Because if you don't put in a headline, it's going to default to your position that you're at right now. So it will default to the company that you work at, and it'll say something like manager at Lowe's. And then you're not really highlighting yourself, you're highlighting the company that you work for. So use that headline, and within that headline, you can also put veteran, because a lot of people will use the keyword manager veteran, and then that also searches for that. So make sure you have a descriptive headline and you're always updating it, changing it. The next biggest thing that I see on LinkedIn is people are using a name that they're not using on their resumes.
Sure.
Right. So there was Career Builder did a survey to all recruiters that said, hey, what's the biggest thing? 44% of recruiters will not contact you unless they find you on LinkedIn or on a social media platform somewhere. So make sure that your name on LinkedIn is the same as your resume, is the same as any other form of stuff that you're putting into these companies. The next biggest thing is keywords. You can fill your LinkedIn resume or your LinkedIn profile with keywords. So go through, find the keywords of the jobs that you're looking for, the jobs that you've done in the past, and you can put them in your summary section. You can put them in your job description sections, but make sure those keywords are in there, because as a recruiter, they usually type out a list of keywords that they're searching for and then pull it up that way. So fill your LinkedIn profile with keywords. The biggest overlooked section of LinkedIn is your skills and your endorsements. So at the very bottom of your profile, there will be a section that a lot of people overlook, is skills and endorsements. So you can go through and you can put in up to 50 skills in there of stuff that you've done in the past, stuff that you're good at, and then you can get people to endorse you on those skills. So LinkedIn has said that people that have 5 or more skills are 33% more contacted by people looking for jobs.
Wow. Say that again. I think people
So,
need to hear that, John. That's important.
so at the very bottom of your LinkedIn, there's skills and endorsements. You can put up to 50 skills in there that you have from previous jobs or that you've learned in the military as a veteran through schools or stuff that you go through. And then you can get your first connections, people that you have connected with personally, to endorse you on those. That's the biggest part. And LinkedIn did a survey last year that if you have 5 or more skills, that you're 33% more likely to be contacted by people looking for employment or by recruiters.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest part, and it's so overlooked. I go through a lot of my candidates' LinkedIn's, and they don't have anything. And then complete your profile. A lot of people will do the summaries and they'll do their job descriptions, but they won't complete the rest of their profile. So you need to make sure like your job descriptions are following exactly how your resume is. A complete LinkedIn profile is more likely to be searched than an incomplete, just listing where you've been, what you've done. And that's where you can touch on your summary. You know, your summary is a great place to put keywords to really sell yourself. Don't just put a generic summary in there. And then I'd say the last 3 are very easy. Make sure that you have a good photo. It doesn't have to be a professionally taken photo. Just make sure it's not a selfie is what I tell people.
I would tell you, and for the people out there watching that are in the Charlotte area, Brian Bazemore, when we get back to normal, whatever normal becomes, Brian Bazemore does professional headshots for free for veterans at our Uptown Lunch, which is the second Wednesday of every month. So know that, and for you, John, to know that Charlotte area people, if they want to come, you should let us know, because he's not always there, but he's almost always there. So
we've actually used you in the past. So
great.
We've gone, and then when you do events, you also have them there doing those. So we usually send our veterans over there. I like the back and forth that we have.
Yeah, so he's got, he does great work. I mean, it's amazing the amount of the value of those headshots he gives for free. It's incredible.
But in this time when you don't have that, the best thing to do is just have somebody take a photo, have a blank wall behind you or something that's not very active behind you. Just have somebody take you. And if they have an iPhone, which I'm an iPhone person, I don't know about everybody else, have them take it in portrait mode. So it really highlights you and not your background. So a photo is very important. And the last 2 things, be active on LinkedIn. If you're not active on LinkedIn, when a recruiter searches for certain things, you're going to drop lower and lower and lower on the list. So I tell my people to be active every day. You should really be spending the same amount of time looking for a job as you would at a job.
That's great.
So it takes 10 minutes to log into LinkedIn. So stay active so you stay up near the top of the search items.
Stay professional, right, on there too.
Yes, very professional.
Well, and then the one thing is, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
This is important. Put your URL, your LinkedIn URL, put it at the bottom of your email signatures. And you can actually edit your URL. So when you get your generic LinkedIn URL, it's just going to be a bunch of numbers. You can go into your settings and edit it and put like John Barna at LinkedIn. And that will make it more easily searchable. So that's my last LinkedIn.
No, that's great. And we're about to run out of time, and I'd love to talk, almost want to have do another interview separately about Stopgap Jobs, because I think it's really important. But one last thought on LinkedIn before I let you go is, this all sounds very self-promotish, right? Like, I feel like, look at me, right? And I think as military folks, we shy away from that. What would you tell somebody who's like, man, I did everything I did, all the success I had was because I was part of a team, and you're saying, highlight me, and it just feels very self-centered.
So I would tell them, in the civilian sector, it's all about building your personal brand. Whether you are an executive or whether you are working in a warehouse, you have a personal brand. Now, within your LinkedIn, and when you're building your personal brand, highlight those key areas of working in a team, managing a property, managing vehicles. But you really need to pay attention to critiquing and building your personal brand, because when you're trying to get a job, you're not trying to get a job for your whole team, you're trying to get a job for yourself. So build your personal brand, but also highlight those working in a team areas.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, it's something that you just kind of have to get over, that it doesn't mean you're not a team player, but the team's not getting the job. People are hiring you for you. Exactly. And you've got things to bring to a company or to a business. Yes. So let's touch real quick because I don't want to let people go without hearing about stopgap jobs, especially right now with unemployment being low. So let's talk real quick on, what is a stopgap job? Why should I consider it? How is it helpful to me?
Okay, and I'll touch really quickly on it. A stopgap job is exactly what it is. It stops that gap in employment. So before I had this job, I worked at an engineering firm. I was a hiring manager. The biggest problem that we had there was seeing a big gap on employment and wondering, what has this person done in that gap? So it's exactly what it is. It stops that gap in employment. It doesn't allow it on your resume. It also gives you money right now because unemployment, as you said, is low. It's hard to get unemployment right now. So it may not be the money you were making, but it will be something to get by. My biggest thing with stopgap jobs is the potential to learn. If you're going for an executive level position and you've only ever done college and led people, it gives you a chance to learn how the company works at the lowest level. Maybe not the lowest level, maybe the intermediate level, but it gives you a chance to learn personal interaction, how you're interacting with people, how companies interact with their employees when they're not an executive. It gives you a potential to learn so much stuff. And on top of that, a lot of people will ask me, well, won't that hurt my personal brand? If I'm an executive, but I take a job flipping burgers. And LinkedIn actually did a survey last year on that. And most recruiters are saying, no, it doesn't, because it shows you that you have the potential to take that step back if you need to, that your drive is still there, not to just sit on your butt and look for a job, that your drive is still there to get out and work and do stuff. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. And I would say even for people who, are looking to volunteer too, that's a place that you can add to your profile, and it's important. It also expands your personal network, right? If you're volunteering with people, you might find the person who hires you or the person who knows someone who's going to hire you. So, those are opportunities, and you're not waiting. And if you're volunteering, you're doing something for somebody else, and that shows that you're willing to do something for others.
Exactly. And I think you touched on the point where you have a potential to meet people. In volunteering in the past, I've met so many people that have helped me in the future in advancement in employment. And they may not be somebody that I could use, but they know people that I could use. Yep. So that's the biggest thing, is expanding your social network.
Yeah, that was one thing that Paul and I spoke about last week is, you're staying at home, but that doesn't mean that you have to stop with your networking and finding people and connecting with people. You can continue to build your network even from home. And it turns out most people are home right now. So it's easier to get some of those people that you might not have otherwise been able to reach.
Yes.
Well, John, thanks so much. I feel like we could have gone on and on. We'll have to bring you back on again to VBH Lunch Break. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out tomorrow at noon for a conversation with Riley Fields. Riley is the Director of Community Engagement for the Carolina Panthers. We're going to check in with him, find out what's going on with the team, see if we can get some inside dope from Riley. And in the meantime, as always, be safe, be healthy, and be the bridge, everybody. Take care.